Hola, welcome to this week's video where we're going to be looking at decoding silence and behaviours, including things that are not said, reading between the lines in order to find out what's actually going on for someone in your life and how they prioritise you, what you mean for them within their life. I'm going to take you through body language, evasive action, omitting evidence or omitting facts if you like, and also reading between the lines of what people are saying and not saying in order for you to be able to make some decisions. But I'm not trying to turn you into a paranoid wreck thinking that everybody is out to do you harm. Please bear that in mind. Some of these behaviors I'm going to go through, there are sometimes alternative reasons why someone is doing what they're doing or omitting certain information. The first most obvious one is the blatant lie, which is often a little bit undiscoverable, but normally comes out in the wash somewhere along the line. Why do people lie? Well, people lie because they don't wish to get in trouble. They are trying to avoid consequences of their behaviors. But often people do it in order to manipulate you, maneuver you into a certain position in order to benefit their own gain. Often people say to me, yeah, they lied to me, it's an insult to my intelligence, which is one way of looking at it. In order to create a lie, one has to have a certain level of imagination, which is why when you find that your children start to lie, whilst it's not a desirable behaviour, it also demonstrates that they have an active imagination, they're beginning to understand consequence, and so therefore they're putting in together a coping strategy which can continue into adulthood. We're all capable of it. But a way that I prefer to look at lies is if I am told a lie, then what you have done is taken away my ability to make the correct decisions for my future. You've taken that ability away because you have given me incorrect information. You have given me manipulative information. So therefore, my decisions are based on what you tell me. And if I was aware of the truth, I would make different decisions. So it's kind of a different way to look at it, as opposed to undermining your intelligence, because even the most intelligent of people can fall prey to liars. But I'm not going to continue on the lie subject. As I said, this video is more about the more subtle aspects of communication and when people are perhaps covering up and how they might cover that up. The first thing to recognize is the best lies are those told closest to the truth. So I'm going to take you through some things to recognize within people's speech and the stories that they tell you, and also body language in order to be able to understand some of that. First of all, speech. We're going to look at evasive answers to direct questions, changing the subject to direct questions, or information overload, often referred to when dealing with narcissists as word salad to confuse you, as well as selective sharing and lies by technicality. So let's look at point number one, which is evasive answers to particular or direct questions. Why would someone avoid answering or give you this evasive answer? These things don't have to be about necessarily having an affair. People cover up certain behaviours such as addictive behaviours, gambling, drinking, doing drugs. People will try to cover up failure at work, how they're actually really feeling inside. And we're going to cover some of these points. So, for instance, you may ask your partner, are you having an affair? Are you seeing someone? You may ask one of your colleagues or your boss, or someone may ask you, and you may avoid. This isn't all about being on the receiving end of it. The evasive answer would be, say, in that scenario, I'm always busy. I haven't got time for that stuff. I've got this to do and that to do, and then I have to do this, and then I've got you standing here telling me this, or what the hell, etc., etc. This is an evasive answer. What it's done is it's taken the focus off the question, and it's actually turned you into some kind of villain because you are adding pressure to them. That's what they're coming across with. So they're using this to avoid answering. It can also be seen as word salad as well, to the point where you're quite confused and you don't even know where the topic initially started until after the conversation when you kind of, and this doesn't happen for all of us. A lot of people end up getting drawn into the evasive answer, and then the conversation goes off into there. Well, how can I help you? Oh, I didn't realize you were so stressed, etc., etc. It's a manipulation to maneuver you away from the actual answer that you wanted to the question that you asked. The other way to do it is to overload information. It kind of overlaps with number one, but you may ask a question of your partner or a colleague or someone who works for you or whatever, and the overload of information is, oh, do you know the day I've had? This happened, then this happened, then this happened, and then I had to go and do this, and then next week I've got to do this, and then I'm really busy with this. So it kind of overlaps, but it gives you more of a, again, it's changing the, now they're asking for sympathy. Now they're asking for you to understand them and realize that they're really, really stressed and under pressure. And again, it's very similar to point number one. It's about misdirecting you. It's about pulling you away from your original suspicions. Whilst this one is less confusing, what it does is it actually veers you off to the side. Then we have the next one, which is selective sharing. So someone may well give you details about the hotel that they stayed in the other night when you have your suspicions that they were seeing someone else, and they will omit certain information. Perhaps they were in town, but they're not going to tell you that they went to the gambling house or the bookies, or that they were in a bar with a bunch of people, or they bumped into their ex and gone and had dinner with them. Certain things like this. And again, they're avoiding the consequences of telling you such information. Maybe because in their head it's not worth it. It may well be that for them it was nothing. But the fact that someone omits it and leaves out this information tells you that they knew this would cause a problem. And now, again, there could be a genuine, this was, an innocent thing that happened. I was late from work. I bumped into someone. We went somewhere else. Then this person happened to be there, and it got a little bit out of my control, and I didn't want to drop this bomb on you right now. And then by the time it actually gets to the questions, they don't answer because they're tired and they don't want to have an argument. If it doesn't come out later on, but you find out later on, then chances are they made a conscious decision to keep that information away. But it depends where you are, what it's going on, if it's a close relationship, what's happening in that relationship. Is it worth upsetting the apple cart over something that is indeed innocent and trivial? This is the other thing to consider. Then there are lies by technicality, and this can come about because you didn't ask the right question. Are you seeing somebody else? And the answer can come forward again with a combination of the other stuff. Now, they know exactly what you mean. Let's say they are having an affair. They know that's what you're asking. You're asking in a very kind of polite English way to say, are you seeing somebody else? And, well, I see lots of people. I don't know what you mean. Yes, I saw so-and-so the other day. I saw so-and-so the other day. I saw so-and-so yesterday. So this is lies by technicality. You are not asking the right questions. It can even go as far as if you know they are actually seeing someone else. And you may ask the question, has anything happened between you and this other person? And then they can easily lie around that technicality because you didn't ask if they were having sex. Or you could say, did you have sex with so-and-so? Now, maybe they haven't, but they've been embracing, hugging, kissing, cuddling, going out for dinner. Now, they can easily answer that question by saying, no, I haven't had sex with that person. They're just a friend. And you move away kind of, they've answered the question. They haven't told a lie. They've just hidden truths, hidden actually what's going on. They've omitted certain other information because you didn't ask the right question. This often comes into my therapy room as well. When inquiring into someone, often if the question is not specific enough or doesn't require a direct answer or can be maneuvered around, people will do that, So again, it's about avoiding consequences by utilizing the use of specifics. The final way is what people don't say. And this can be a really, really huge indicator of your priority within their life. Now, let's say, for instance, again, we'll go with relationships, a working relationship, a friendship, or romantic relationship. Now, let's say that you are often inquiring into that person. How are you? How was your day? How did this go? How did your trip there go? And they answer your questions, but they don't actually come back with any inquiries into you. Now, this can be quite a common dynamic between people. Now, again, sometimes people don't know how to do it. It doesn't occur to them to do it, so there's no malicious behavior in there, there's no manipulation. They are just kind of buried in their own world, or they've never been taught how to inquire into other people, and you're inquiring all the time, and it doesn't occur to them to inquire back. The other thing it can demonstrate, and this would be where you would have to gauge where you were at within that relationship, is whether or not they are indicating that they don't prioritize you. They don't think about you. It doesn't occur to them to ask you. So for instance, if you are with a partner, things aren't going so great and you're trying to rebuild and you're giving them compliments, you're asking them how their day was, and it's not returned, chances are the feelings have gone cold. Chances are they don't feel the same way about you anymore. It could also be that they're struggling with stuff inside. But again, a little bit more communication, a little bit of inquiry will give you that answer, if you like. It will give you the indication that they're struggling with something. So this is not actually that you are no longer a priority in their world, you're not important to them. This is more of a case of they're dealing with some stuff and they don't have the energy to be able to have this kind of level of communication, though they are enjoying it. So again, these things have to be things that you have to gauge, you have to work out. Don't just jump onto this person doesn't care about me anymore. Could be true, but it also might not be true. The other thing to look out for within this respect is also if you, let's say you have some successes and you tell your friend about it, or your partner or work colleagues or something like that, and they cannot be happy for you. Let's say they display some jealousy, or they try to, and this can happen with parents as well, they try to override or outdo your success. The indication here is that this person does not want you to succeed. There may be various reasons for why they don't want you to succeed. Maybe your success is going to be a reflective mirror for their inadequacies and they don't want to see it. Maybe there is jealousy and envy in there. Maybe they don't think you deserve it. The point is, it doesn't matter. What you need to notice is that they are actually doing it. They are not happy for your successes. They are not comforting with you when you're having a hard time. They're not there. Their misery is more important than yours, or your misery is not sufficient enough. You know, that you get that kind of, well, pull yourself together, you know, move on, life goes on, this and that and the other. Tomorrow's a new day. So it kind of dismisses where you are at. This is not necessarily a person you want to be sharing intimate things with, because they are not able to reciprocate in a healthy, encouraging and nurturing way. Not that you should seek that out like I did in another video, the self-validation. Not that you should be looking for that. You should be able to give it to yourself. If you are able to give it to yourself and you notice someone else is not, they're kind of eroding at it, they're chipping away at it, then, you know, put them at arm's length. And again, here you will be able to pick up on the nuances of, it's not what they're saying, it's what they're not saying that's more important. So for instance, they go, oh yeah, that's great, you know, and that's as far as it goes with it in terms of responding to your success. I mean, some of these things can get even deeper. We can be manipulated by very, very pretty sugar-coated words. For instance, I've heard this one. At the end of a breakdown of a relationship, when there was a potential affair going on, and the person having the affair said to the other person, out of respect for us being soulmates, you'll be the first to know if I end up in bed with somebody else, if I start a new relationship. And the person who was being told this wandered off thinking this was a fantastical phrase and showed love and respect. Again, when you unpack it and peel it back, it doesn't. What it's saying is, I'm off doing what I want to do, and I'm just going to appease you in this moment because I don't need the argument. And because you have this trust and this love in them still, because you're a bit brokenhearted, you're trying to repair the relationship, you have believed what they have said. You have believed their sweet words and their sweet way without actually analysing the words and deciding actually what would be the correct response here. What would probably be a better phrase would be, we need to work on this relationship because I feel we are soulmates and I feel this is worth repairing. Not because we're soulmates, I'm going to tell you about the first person I jump into bed with. Chances are they probably won't actually, if they're already thinking about it that way and regarding you that way. And now I'd like to look at some body language which would indicate where you might be within a certain relationship. Eye rolling is a big one. If someone begins to roll their eyes, look elsewhere, there's an element of contempt. They're not respecting what you're saying. They're not wanting to listen to you. They are just kind of giving you lip service, and they're sitting there and doing the theatrics and what they're supposed to do, as opposed to actually being genuinely engaged within the conversation and listening, hearing and understanding what it is that you are saying. So eye rolling is a big one. Another one is not looking at you in the eyes, shuffling the feet, looking down. Avoiding eye contact is a big indicator normally that someone is hiding something and they are a little bit ashamed to reveal it, or they are trying to get out of the situation quite quickly. So to continuing on with the body language, there are other things, there's eye rolling, this, yeah, okay, right, yeah, right, yeah, kind of pulling the phone out, yeah, okay, yeah, cool, right. This person is not respecting you, getting up, wandering around. Now, yes, there are people out there who need to move, need to fidget, and all the rest of it. I'm also one of them. I don't know if you've noticed my hands move a lot. That's fine. But to stay engaged with the conversation, so you can then match up the body language with then what's being said next. So if they're omitting information, if they're giving half-truths, if they are giving very flat, plain answers, one-word answers, things like that, then chances are they are really not engaged in the conversation. They are not particularly interested in what you are saying, and you are probably in that moment, or maybe a lot of moments, not a priority for them. And if you once were, you are no longer. Moving on from some of the more subtle body languages, let's move into some behaviors which can indicate exactly where you are for someone. One of them can be you're having a conversation with someone and they get up and they leave, or they go and distract themselves by talking to someone else, or they go, oh, hold on a minute, I've just seen so-and-so. This is cutting you dead in what you're saying. Now, maybe, there's always the element that maybe what you're saying is a bit uninteresting. I mean, there's always that. Or maybe perhaps you're pouring your heart out too much to this person. Again, an inquiry into, okay, I noticed you did this. Is there something going on? Is there something I've done? But if you notice someone does this all the time within your conversations, whatever the conversation may be about, maybe it's a general theme, you're talking about emotions, the relationship, things like that. They get up, they move, they're distracted, they go on their phone, they go and talk to someone else. Either they can't deal with it emotionally, which means they potentially need to kind of seek out or improve their emotional awareness, if you like, and their ability to communicate, hear and understand, or they just are not interested anymore in anything that you have to say. It's a sad fact, but it can be a very, very strong indication of this. And as you can see in this video, I'm trying to go a bit beyond, kind of anger, rage, having arguments and things like this. This is more moving into the realms of indifference. This is more moving into the realms of that you no longer matter to this person so much, or you are actually quite insignificant. Putting these all together, if you start seeing a lot of these behaviors, you can then you can either challenge it, or you can begin to kind of go, okay, I don't think I'm a priority for this person anymore. I think this friendship, relationship, working relationship is beginning to go cold, is beginning to break down. Then you can make some decisions about it, unless, of course, you find out about a full-blown lie, manipulation, affair, something like that, and then you can really make a big decision on that one. So beware of body language, behaviors which are dismissive, omitting facts, things that people don't say. Notice what they're saying and notice if they're leaving something out. That's a bit more difficult to do, but it can be done. It's like you may understand certain scenarios. You may know people who are in a certain situation, and if you notice certain people of those are being omitted, it can be an indicator of something going on, something else, or they might just be omitting it because they know it. That is a red rag to a bull, and they're not going to go there. So as I said, the dismissive behaviors, omitting information, giving you an overload of information, making you feel sorry for them, body language such as rolling the eyes, moving away, kind of giving that, okay, right, indications that they're not interested in what you're saying. Piece all of these together and you can very, very quickly work out exactly what a priority you are for this person. I hope that helps, and until I see you next time, please take very good care of yourselves, and watch out for in the next 2 to 3 weeks when I'm releasing a 6-part kind of workshop series on shadow work, how to do it and why it's a good thing to do and how it can benefit you. Adios.